starting Be'ezras Hashem, Vayoel Moshe, Siman Yud Tes, Maamar Shalosh Shevuos. And the subject is that the Rebbe is trying to prove that the Shevuos apply even when the nations let us come to Eretz Yisrael, which was a subject that was started in Siman Yud and is continuing now. And the next raya is going to be from a medrash in Shiur Shiurim that says that even after the Geula, even when Mashiach comes, we're still going to have a suffix if we're allowed to go up without being Mekayim the Gzeres HaGolus, because the Gzeres HaGolus was that you didn't have to be in all parts of the world.
The one we said, Rabbi Moshe, not so HaKadosh Baruch Hu, same Mashiach, not so HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That medrash in Shiur Shiurim Rabbah.
Right. So now we're going to see this inside. So Ugedoyla Mizu Motzinu. We find an even greater thing than this. Up till now, we're talking about that until the Geula, we're not allowed to do anything because we haven't been Mekayim the decree of exile. But now he's saying that even when the Geula comes, it's going to happen. The same time is going to be said. Motzinu b'medrash Rabbah Shiur Shiurim Beis Ala Kasuv Kol Doidi Hinei Zeh Ba Zeh Melech HaMashiach. The voice of my beloved is come. This means Melech HaMashiach. B'shah shehu Omer Yisrael. When Mashiach is going to say to the Jews, in this month you're going to get redeemed, the Jews are going to answer back, how can we get redeemed? Because Baruch Hu made a shvur that he's going to make us be subservient under the 70 nations. Right? And we weren't in the 70 nations, we were only in 3 or 4 countries. So V'hu Mashivan, Melech HaMashiach is going to answer, shtei tshuvos, 2 answers to this. It says one of you is going to go to the place Barbary, Northern Africa, and
or maybe even Europe. That's where barbarians live.
Yeah. Britannia. The end of it is one of you is going to go.
How unusual, Britannia, like Britain. How unusual.
Yeah, in the Medrash, according to one Gersa. So that it's considered as if all of you went there. So even though the whole Jewish people didn't go to every country in the world, but some Yidden did. There's always 1 or 2 Yidden in every place, so that's Mekayim the Gzeres HaGolus. Okay? The second teretz is El Malchus HaZois Machteves Trunya Mikol HaOlam. That even the government where most of the Jews are, which is Bavel or wherever they happen to be, America today, they have officers and what do you call it? They have senators.
Well, they have tyranny. Tyranny is tyranny.
Okay.
They impose tyranny on you.
But it's not necessarily that here. It means they have rulers, leaders, governors.
That are cruel.
No. People who are from all different countries in the world.
Oh, right.
Like here in America, embassy. You could have a black person be president, and you could have a Chinese person.
But you also have embassies in different countries.
Yeah, but that's not the point, because the embassy doesn't rule over you. If you're living under America, you're not living under the Chinese embassy. But the point is, a Chinese person could come to America and become a politician, and then it's considered like you're living under the 70 nations, because some of the 70 nations have come into the country where you live. So, Malchus HaZois, the kingdom where the Jews live, Machteves Trunya Mikol HaOlam. They appoint leaders and rulers from all over the world.
Doesn't Trunya mean tyranny?
It could be, it means tyranny, but tyranny today has a bad connotation. We're talking about just leadership.
I think it means like they're cruel to you, and when they're cruel to you, it's as if you went to all these nations.
Okay, maybe.
I don't
know if they have to be cruel to you to be Mekayim the Golus. Just living under them is enough. Every one of these nations comes and gets a position in the government here, and he's mashabed you. So it's as if you served the 70 nations. So now you can be redeemed. Ad kan. Hare. We see from this, even after Mashiach is here, there'll still be a fear in the hearts of Jews who believe in Hashem and His Shevuah. That the Shevuah was that we have to be under the 70 nations. There can't be a good redemption before the Shevuah, the oath of Golus was fulfilled. Okay? And even though now we have the medrash, right? So now we know the answer that Mashiach is going to answer. That one nation's, one person, one Jew is going to go here, one Jew is going to go there. It's not enough that we took a good guess at the answer, and we said in the medrash the answer. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to actually tell us this answer. that the true Geula has come.
Right, argue with the Zionists say who are confident in some prophecies which they don't even have any certainty what they refer to them.
So that can't be better than the Meferish Medrash that says this, and still
they even doubt Mashiach himself.
We can't know on our own if the Gzeres Galos was fulfilled properly, in this way that the Medrash describes it. We can't know that we're yotzei with that. The Medrash lists there. Unless the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself, he's the one who knows everything. And he knows everything about the world. He can see the whole world at once. So he can see whether we had one of each nation in our government.
Yeah.
Now, I want to just show you an interesting thing here. Put it in the middle so you can see it too. This is a letter from the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, written in the 20s to Aguda, to the Moetzes Gedolei Torah of Aguda, which he was opposed to, and the Ger Rebbe, the Vayoel Mordechai, the Ger Rebbe from then, who was leader of Aguda, and he has a lot of tainas on what Aguda is doing in respect to Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael.
This is just tshuva from the Maharyatz?
Maharyatz, you're right. Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak.
It's in his book Tikkun Olam about
Tikkun Olam, right?
Sefer of Tshuvas.
Well, Tikkun Olam is a book of different tshuvas from different Gedolim about Aguda. What? It's compiled by a chassid of the Minchas Elazar in 1936.
Moshe Goldstein.
Moshe Goldstein, right? Oh, so you're familiar.
Yeah.
So this letter goes on for a few prakim in the Sefer Tikkun Olam, but I just copied the page that we want here. That basically he's timing that it's not always good to tell Yidden to go to Eretz Yisrael. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they'll have a good environment, sometimes they won't. And he says that really Yidden could live all over the world. And look at this paragraph. Mahalech al kanfei ruach. If someone goes around the world, bikoyres udrusha b'chol merchavei hamedinos. Someone travels around all the states and the countries. He visits Jewish communities around the world. He takes his ear and listens. You'll find that Jewish communities are doing well, basically, all over the world. I know that's what Tzadi stands for, but even though our enemies, who would tend to be our enemies, but really are our friends, because they're basically persecuting us and giving us nisyonos and ability to come closer to Hashem, they persecute us. They eat up our beauty. Hashem aleim yichyu al tilo benuya. He says every Jewish city is built up nicely. B'cheder, they have a cheder, Talmud Torah, yeshiva, batei moishet, shel tzedakah, midas neimois, v'koiches shemaim yoiru, v'kasher yavoy ish Yehudi achari v'dvar Hashem be'echel mekoyim. He says when a Jew travels around and comes to one of these places, hinei bahashket galei tirdoisav uvis oirus gedolei Yisrael, bano yivna echad amoistim. That a Jew could come anywhere and build up a moisav and build Yiddishkeit there. Cheder, Talmud Torah, Yeshiva, Beis Chesed, Tzedakah, Kasher Echad Mikem Goel LeBarbara, VeEchad LeBritania. He quotes the same medrash that the Satmar Rebbe quotes, and he says when one Yid goes here, one Yid goes there, that's Mekayim, the Gzeir of Hashem. And then he says, V'aleinu lahamin b'emunah shlema. We have to believe. Ulahakir b'deya nechoyna asher b'boy Mashiach tzidkeinu b'mheir b'yomeinu amen yutav be'einav uve'enei Hashem Elokeinu yoyser hacheder hakneses ve'abeis tzedakah. It'll be more beautiful, more beloved, more good in the eyes of Hashem. This cheder that Yidden built in some far-flung place, asher noisa begoyla b'barbari u'Britannia me'habeis charoishes u'beis avoida asher yusad chalila b'Yerushalayim Yerkodesh. More than the factory and the business that is built in Yerushalayim. So he's saying basically, don't tell every Yid to go to Yerushalayim bisman hazeh. It's not necessarily the right thing. Mi yoymar kvoid teruasa rama shlita al zeh. What are you going to say, you the Ger Rebbe? What are you going to say about that? So just you see, he's quoting the same medrash, and he's saying, making a point. And it's interesting that the Lubavitcher Rebbe said this, because today, if he would be around, he would see what the Lubavitcher has done.
His son-in-law messed up Lubavitch in all aspects, not just with Zionism.
Okay, but
It's
one
true.
thing is good about Lubavitch, that they're everywhere. That's a good thing. You have to admit, that they're Mekayim, the Gzeres Agolos. They're all over they're in every country.
Oh yeah, so in that respect, they went off from what their leader said. But nonetheless, their leader messed them up as being a false messiah.
Also, the other thing is, in regard to Zionism, forget about what Lubavitch believes about Zionism, but in the places that they are, in Russia and all over the place, right? They're giving Yidden an option. See, it used to be Yidden thought, okay, we can't live in Russia anymore. We all have to make Aliyah. They're giving them a place to live. There's a shul, there's a yeshiva there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Kosher food.
I guess they're doing it in like against their will way. They're making them even a little bit like Cambodia even.
The Rebbe actually got his dayas also from the Rashab. So if they know Rashab, no Satmar, no Vayoel Moshe, right? He was the first.
The Rashab was one of the first to speak out against Zionism. It's true. Yeah. Okay. I don't. The Rashab is going to be quoted later in Vayoel Moshe, much later. But okay, let's go on. Mevura mikol halein. We see from all of these things, Shaliyas kulam le'Eretz Yisrael koydem biyas HaMashiach, that for all of the Jewish people to go up to Eretz Yisrael before biyas HaMashiach, even with permission, is neged Shevuos Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's against Hashem's Shvuah. Me'akev es ha'geula, and it prevents the geula. V'kacha mevur gam b'kisvei ha'arizal. Now he's going to bring a raya also from the Kisvei Arizal in Kabbalah.
Oh, because Zion calmly try to say Kabbalah, if Kabbalah does this and that.
Okay, so here's a raya from Kabbalah against him. He says, B'shara mitzvahs parshas re'eh, b'mitzvahs chiras yitzias Mitzrayim, alakasav l'man tizkor es yom teis chameret Mitzrayim. It's written on this pasuk. V'herich sham tuva b'inyan zeh. He goes on for a long time. V'tamtzis advarim. But in short, let's sum it up. Shahaya chiluk Bein Geulas Mitzrayim l'Shar HaGeulas, that there was a distinction between the Geula from Mitzrayim and future Geulas, Bavel and Wadai. Sheva Mitzrayim nisbaru begulasim kol neshamos. That Mitzrayim was a permanent Geula. There was nothing left in Mitzrayim after the Yidden left there, because all the neshamos that had to be taken out of Mitzrayim were taken out already. Kamasha Kasu v'ayinatzluis Mitzrayim. They emptied out Mitzrayim, which Pashup Shad's going on the money, but he's saying it's going on the neshamas and the insights also. All the sparks of Yiddishkeit that were there, they took out. They didn't have any need to ever go back to Mitzrayim again. All the other temporary gulas, the one from Babylonia and Madai, they weren't completely redeemed. There were still some Jewish souls out there. There were still some Jews openly living under Babel and Madai. They didn't all come up when the Bayesheni was built, because they had to stay there to keep on bringing out those hidden neshamas. Like the Gemara says somewhere that I think in Pesachim Peizayin it says that the Yidden went into Galus and all the different lands so that Gerim should be added to them. And the Gerim are these neshamas that are lost among the Goyim.
Yeah, they won't have to see. It's a very hard thing to believe, being that Yisro were given the bigger Maila. This will have to see. They might be misreading it the same way they misread the Gemara. It says that a Ger's Mazel will have seen that, but they say the Neshama was. So they'll have to see.
Okay. Gam Kostav L'chalik Bein Adal Golias Shel Bavel Madai Yavin ve'Edom. Also, the Arizal says a distinction between the different Golias. He says, Shesham hu Golis Meruba Miklal Yisrael Kivan Shehem Asherashim. That basically this medrash that we quoted before, that one Jew could go in here, one Jew could go there.
Yeah.
That's only in like the small countries, but they're like main Klalistika countries that represent like a whole group of the 70 Umos.
Yeah.
So he says, Bavel, Mada, Yavin, ve'Edom are representative of larger groups. So basically there, a lot of you didn't have to go. Aval B'shar Ayanumos, the small nations, little tiny nations, Kivin Shegal Sham Echad Misrael, once one Jew goes there, Nechshav Ki'ilu Gal Kulam. It's like they all went there. Kihema Rak Pratim V'Anofim. They're just branches from the main nations. L'chein, Ein Kol Yisrael Tzrichim Leilech B'Gal Sham. Not every Jew has to go to every single country. Zulas Oisam B'nei Adam Asher Naflu Nitzoitzes Nishmuseim. Only those Jews who somehow their sparks that they lost went into that nation. So Hashem causes them to end up in that place. So
that means like Japan, for those few Jews that are there, those got some few sparks.
They had to do with it. Yeah, they had their avodah to do that.
Just exceptionally tiny avodah.
So Haim Tzrichim Ligloy Sham Kedei Levar, just to get those nitzotzes out. Ulehoitzi Misham Nitzesem Shenaflu Sham Ayin Sham. V'nishma Mizesh Ne'anyan. We see from this two things. Ho'echad Masha Kosev B'Medrash Ha'Hechreach Liyois B'Goyel Tachas Yad Kol Shivim Umais. That the Medrash says that we have to be in Galus under all 70 nations. Ella the Sagi Be'echad, but it's enough one Yid could be under a nation. And that's Yotzeh.
So the communities aren't so terrible after all, although they're tiny, because one is Zav, so the whole was exiled.
Amnam tzrichim liyos b'chol ois namakoyim shnimtzaim sham nitzatzeim hashayachim l'shayrish nishmasam. It has to be that in those places that a Yid went into Galus, those are the places where their nitzotzes are. V'zeh ef shel ha'adam lodas. That a man can't know on his own. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu could know that. So that's why we can't decide when the Galus is over, when we should leave whatever country we live in, because maybe we have to be there. Maybe Hashem wants us there. He's the one who causes things. He guides a man's footsteps. Even when the person himself doesn't know that he's being guided. Usually a person doesn't know why he ended up in the place. Okay, the second thing we see from this Arizal is Sha'af b'mei aliyas Ezra, even when Ezra came up, we needed a certain portion of the Jewish people to stay in Bavel. This is what he spoke about in Siman Yud Beis. Basically, more than half of the Jewish people stayed in Bavel during Bayis Sheni. To fix up the neshamas that were there. Ezra also agreed to that. He didn't just get angry at all the Yidden for not coming up. No, he agreed that they should stay. I explained this without using Kabbalah above in Siman Yud Beis, in Siman Yud Gimel. Don't ask me a kasha. This is the kasha that if Galus was because of Chet, let's say we wouldn't have done any Chet, we wouldn't have gone to Galus, so how would we have gotten those nitzotzes out? He says, it's only because of the Chet. If not for the Chet, we would have stayed in Eretz Yisrael. How would we have gotten back all those neshamas? So he says, Parshas Bahar. Or Chaim asked that kasha already. Parshas Bahar, b'pasuk Kiyamu Chachicha, shekasav she'echad min hatamim shel gzeres hagalus. He says one of the reasons is why we have to go to Galus. V'lo yisagi sheyasrei Hashem b'shevet musar b'artzam. Why isn't it enough that we just got our punishment right here in Eretz Yisrael? Yeah. Uvenachalosam shu kedei levar hanitzotzes. He says it's because to get those nitzotzes out of Galus. Shel kedusha mibeinu haratzah shebechol ha'olam. By the way, before in Siman Tezvav, we brought down an Orach Chaim HaKadosh in Parshas Bechukoisai, which also brought that some people, Rishaim and Tzadikim, the good son and the bad son, so to speak, are asking the question, why do we have to go out of Eretz Yisrael? So here's a third teretz. There he said two terutzim. He said because we want to be under Hashem wants us under our enemies so that we should get that hakapara, and He should be merachim on us. And also, Shaloi Tichlo Eis Midas Adin, because He took out His Midas Adin on Eretz Yisrael and not on us. Now He's saying a third teretz, that we have to be in Galus to gather those nitzotzes.
Because I think it also means that even though Galus is gold, it's still some hidden type of Kedusha, which is very much concealed, because in the end, Galus, Chutz La'aretz still come from Hashem. That's what I think it means. Not everywhere the God gave, we don't want Gerim generally. Because look, it openly says, Kasha Gerim Shal Gesaka. So I think what it means is to get out this little hidden Kedusha, which we would lack otherwise.
That could be, or to spread Yiddishkeit around the world. I don't know if people should hear about Hashem.
Again, we don't want Gerim, remember.
Not Gerim, but just that the ideas and the existence of Hashem should be known to the world.
I see. That could be.
Anyway,
but to me it makes sense, because look, even Galus comes from Hashem, unlike those who say that there's no Kedusha you can get out of Galus. Yeah.
Okay, so then he says, V'chasav achar kach, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says, V'zel l'shoyn HaKadosh, V'im toimar, if you're going to ask, Im loy hayu Yisrael chaytim, the goyim, if the Jews wouldn't have sinned, Mi hayu mevar ha'misbarim ata b'tzfutzis Yisrael, who would have cleared out all those nitzotzes from Chutz La'aretz? So he says, Daki im loy hayu Yisrael chaytim, if the Jews wouldn't have sinned, hayu lahem koyach levar nitzotzes hakdusha b'makom shehem. they would have been able to do it from Eretz Yisrael. They would have been in Eretz Yisrael. They would have had some kind of power to bring them back.
With the power of light that would go from Eretz Yisrael into Chutz La'aretz and bring it out.
Once they lost that power because they did the sins, the Chalash Koicham, they had a weaker power. So halavai they should be able to get the people even when they do go there Chutz La'aretz. So Kal V'chomer in Eretz Yisrael it wouldn't work. So therefore, they had to go to Galus.
Well, because before they sinned, they were more spiritual. They were like light; it spreads in all directions. Take them out. But now they became more physical after sinning. They have to be there physically rather than have to just stay in one place.
So because
distance is all a gospel thing, but staying in one place and getting it is a spiritual thing.
Right.